Viewer discretion is advised. The following video contains content that may be triggering or upsetting to some viewers. Please seek out professional assistance if you or someone you know is struggling with sexual abuse or abuse of any kind. Today's story is about the brave and courageous Poppy, a child abuse survivor that endured years of sexual exploitation by her evil grandfather. Came out publicly with this news because she understood that something so taboo will be more relatable if people can put a face behind the news. She described that as a small child, she believed the abuse she suffered was normal. At the age of 5, just prior to going on a trip to Legoland, Poppy tried to tell her mother, Miranda, about the sexual abuse suffered at the hands of her grandfather, John. Miranda mentioned to BBC News that Poppy started to tell her and her husband, David, but then started to giggle. At the time, Miranda just didn't realize what Poppy was trying to tell her. Poppy was so confused about the abuse that she thought that all grandparents did these things to their grandchildren. Poppy knew the cues. When the regular children's TV program she watched with John would come to an end, then the abuse would begin. The abuse would always start with John asking her to help him get dressed. She would then have to go to his bedroom. At school, between the ages of 10 and 11, Poppy was having lessons warning about sexual exploitation and grooming. She began to recognize what had happened to her. Poppy was interviewed by Kent Police's child protection officer. She explained that she was made to do these things to him, and he would then do things to her. At the age of 13, Poppy provided evidence that resulted in John's conviction. In 2018, John was found guilty on 3 counts, including rape. John was sentenced to over 13 years in prison, but died in 2022. The judge described her testimony as heart-rending and utterly compelling. Poppy sends a strong message to others who are being abused. She encourages anyone battling a similar scenario to tell someone, "Take that jump." Poppy stands behind her words, as at the age of 18, she is skydiving to raise money for a helpline that supports abuse survivors while they await counseling. Poppy has raised over 70,000 British pounds. She describes her life now as incredible. She is such a brave human being. She has shown the world that someone else's evil actions and free will to choose to do harm will not overpower her mental strength and willpower to continue to live her life. Poppy has turned such a sad and dark circumstance into a mission to be an ongoing inspiration to others. On the line, I welcome financial crimes expert, consultant, and father of 2, Laz. As an investigator, Laz has analyzed many different types of cases, but this one hits home at a much more emotional level. Laz, what do you think of Poppy's story?
Hey Sergio, first off, thank you for having me on. This is a very interesting case that everyone can learn from. Like Poppy, the general public, in my opinion, and family members outside of the abuser and abused will not know that this is an ongoing matter. For instance, in Poppy's case, she thought this was normal behavior, and it's just sick, disgusting, and heartbreaking in my opinion, that anyone can do this to a child, especially a family member. This is not just physical abuse. This is psychological abuse where the child will likely be harmed or scarred for life. Based on the story from what I read, she had to be in court between ages 11 and 13 dealing with this. This is not something a kid should be going through. Kids are fragile and we have to protect them at all costs. They're our future. And in regards to the grandfather, he was sentenced to 13 years and later passed away in prison. And in my opinion, although his prison time might have been cut short, he's going to serve after lifetime sentence in hell. Also, regarding Poppy, it's great to see her in great spirits and enjoying her life now. I hope she's able to open up the eyes of others that are going through the same thing, and based off her bravery and the bravery of others as well that are in similar shoes, we can someday eradicate abusers from this type of behavior. In Poppy's case, she spoke out about the situation, and her story will always assist others in doing the same, thanks to her courage.
Thank you for your input, Laz. I hope this video encourages people suffering to speak up and seek professional assistance. As parents, one of the main fears is having someone target our kids and try to groom them. We have to educate our kids about the dangers of online interactions. Monitor online activities. Become aware of who your kids are communicating with. Setting boundaries for online communication. Encouraging open communication so children feel more comfortable discussing any uncomfortable online interactions. Using parental controls and safety settings on devices and platforms. One application that I personally use is Bark. Bark can track location, manage screen time, monitor content, get alerts 24/7, and block websites. So I personally use this as a tool. It's not that I'm going to be monitoring every single thing they do, because you have to establish a form of trust. My child knows that at any time I can request a phone so I can see what they're doing, who they're messaging, what they're talking about. And I do this more as a guidance. I want to be involved in my kid's life. When I was a kid, technology wasn't as advanced as now. There wasn't any cell phones. What I like to do is use Bark as a tool, but not as an invasion of privacy. I do not check my child's phone every day. What I do is I sporadically grab the phone with my son's knowledge and I tell him, I'm going to look at your phone. I'm just trying to see who you're talking to. I could also help you communicate better. I consider these productive interactions, because if I find anything on the phone that I would like to discuss, or I need my kid to elaborate on, or they need me to explain something that maybe they were shy about, then that's the time. So Bark provides content monitoring by monitoring text, email, YouTube, and 30 other applications and social media platforms. Bark's targeting cyberbullying, sexual content, online predators, depression, suicidal ideation. Bark runs quietly in the background in search of issues that might indicate that something is wrong in your child's online world. Bark's algorithm detects potential risks so you can check in and make sure everything is okay. So download the app on iOS or Android devices. Create screen time rules for the school day as well as at bedtime and during free time. Bark also tracks location. You can receive push notifications, alerts, texts, or emails to keep you in the loop. When it comes to keeping your child safe, there's many things that you can possibly do as a parent. You just have to make sure that number one is being aware of what your kid is up to. Some of us are very busy, maybe working 16-hour shifts. You have to go with your gut, your intuition, that feeling, that voice in your head. You can't dismiss it. What is your current family dynamic? Are you a single mother? Did you just marry somebody new? Is that person getting up in the middle of the night frequently? You have to be aware and you have to act. If something doesn't smell right, it isn't. You have to protect your kids. Do whatever it takes. Ask questions. Make sure you have an open line of communication to keep them safe. Is there a family member that is a little too touchy-feely, maybe too interested? That's a red flag. Think about it. Why? Do not turn a blind eye.